Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new season of Running on Scuffs. Man, it's been a long time since I've been able to say that, and I cannot tell you enough how wonderful it is to be able to say that. Um, Welcome back, everybody. It is time for a brand new season, 2023. We're ready to get things going here for Running on Scuffs, but first, allow us to do some introductions. Most of you know who we are, but we're going to remind you anyway. My name is Justin Seeker. I'm the host here of Running on Scuffs, and that we are able to. I love that we're able to get things going here. Everybody, be sure to to tune in, comment down below your thoughts, and let's go ahead and meet some of our hosts, our co-hosts. Starting off with my fellow dipstick, Zach Bell. How you doing, buddy?
Back and better than ever. Um, new looking setup for me. You guys can't see it, but look better, sound better, feel better. Ready to attack this 2023 season and hit it just as hard as the drivers hit each other in the Clash.
Absolutely. It was a fun day of racing here in the Clash. And we're going to get back. Mama Seeger, she's already back and ready. She's watching here, so we'd love to have her back. We appreciate it. And one of Mama Seeger's favorites, Mr. Dan Foster. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, bud. Glad to be on this season and ready to get things going. Talk about some NASCAR. It's been a long off season. I had to trim my beard up tonight. I mean, it was looking rough. I didn't know what to do with myself for those couple months.
I'm telling you, the holiday season is great, but oftentimes throughout the holidays, we find it easy to kind of lose track of ourselves, and then New Year hits, and it's like, oh wait, we gotta, we actually have to take care of ourselves. And last but not least, our good friend Mr. Mike Daffner. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I was clean shaven when the clash started yesterday, and well, that race took so long that this beard decided to grow this much.
Yeah, it was a long race last night. If you guys were watching the Running on Scuffs feed uh, on Twitter last night, I was trying to do some live race updates, and it was literally just caution, green flag.
Chaos,
Especially,
chaos, chaos.
it was crazy. As I was telling everybody off screen before the show started, Bob Pockrass had actually tweeted about a caution before I had even tweeted about the green flag. So um, that's just how quickly things were going, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the upcoming year for Running on Scuffs. This is our first full time season as a group. We're going to be able to cover hopefully a full season of racing. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to be at the track a few times. I know I'll be at Talladega in the spring and hopefully the fall as well. So if nothing more, I'll be there. Um, I'm hoping to cover as many races as possible. Zach, I know you've mentioned potentially hoping to go back to Texas.
Always, always a Texas Motor Speedway. As long as that track's there, which will be there forever, folks. I'll be there with it.
We certainly hope so. We hope you'll get some. We hope the content you get from Texas will be better than the racing that we get at Texas.
Ain't that the
Uh,
truth?
um, but nonetheless, uh, so we've got some good plans. If you haven't already, be sure to check out runninonscuffs.com. We've started to post articles and stuff down there. I just finished up one myself about why Martin Truex Jr. will win the 2023 championship. So be sure to check that out, as well as our others as well. So, with that being said, let's get into tonight's show. We have a few segments tonight. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know we're not going to be getting scuffed up tonight. I know. Everybody, turn off now. Don't go anywhere yet. We've still got some. We're still going to have some chaos tonight on the show. Uh, but we're going to keep it a little bit civilized for the first episode. But Stuffed Up will be back next week. As a matter of fact, we also have a special guest next week, and we'll get into that with another weekend. So hang tight with us. We'll be working on that. Ryan, our favorite, one of our favorite. He and Mama Seeger combined. We've got both of them. We're ready for a show now. We've got Ryan and Mama Seeger back. Ryan's already supporting you here.
That's right, Ryan, my biggest fan outside of anybody related to me. I am honored to have you back in this chat, my friend. Carrying the load. Last year we were carrying the Logano banner, mainly because I bet on him. But this year we're carrying on whatever banner we decide to share together. Maybe we can meet in the middle and cheer for like Ryan Blaney or something,
I don't understand how Ryan is a Zach fan when I'm the one who picked Logano to win the championship in the playoff predictions show. But
I put money on him back in January of last year.
Look, I don't put money on anything because I don't have enough of it to go around. So
I made money, so
I'm just gonna say Ryan. I'm gonna be Ryan's favorite by the end of the season. Just throwing it out there.
wrong.
We'll see. Hey, I won Mama Seeger over. Just saying.
That's true. That's very true. All right, so we're going to get into our first segment of the night. We did have a race last night at the LA Coliseum, the Busch Light Clash. So without further ado, we're going to head into a race review segment. And for our race review, we have a lot to unpack in a relatively short amount of time. I just want you guys to know, I saw this, they were talking about it on NASCAR Sirius XM radio on Trade and Paint earlier. This race, if you exclude 30 minutes for the halftime show, was a 2 hour and 15-minute race, just the main event. Which may not sound like a lot for a NASCAR race, but this was a 37.5 mile race. Everything combined. So this was a crazy event. It was certainly interesting. So let's start with the winners from last night. Martin Truex Jr. was finally able to get his first NASCAR sanctioned event win since September of 2021. He went winless last year, and this clash was not a points-paying win, but it was a win nonetheless. Mama Seeger is right. I want to point that out. There was definitely a lot of trading paint last night. There really was. And Zach, I'm going to give this over to you for just to get your thoughts on the overall clash race, and we'll get into it from there.
Folks, that was not a race. That was a joke. Here's the thing. If I wanted to go see bumper cars, I'd go drive 10 miles out, go to the local amusement park, see a bunch of 8-year-olds run into each other. This is in my opinion, a pretty poor representation of our sport. And it plays into all the stereotypes that everybody says about NASCAR. And quite frankly, the clash itself is a joke. This is not the event that Bill France planned back in the 80s, right? Basically, if you drive a race car, you've made the show, unless you drive for RFK. And that's a shame. This event, to me, has lost a lot of its luster, and its only saving grace is that we do it in a football stadium at this rate. I'm ready to get rid of the whole thing, quite frankly.
Ryan bringing up a good point. Way too many cars on the track. NASCAR just didn't want a big name to miss the race. I agree, and I will say this. I'm not one to say let's get rid of the clash at the Coliseum, because I thought the heat races were actually pretty entertaining with just 9 cars, and I think I think you could get somewhere up to about 15 and maybe have a decent race there. But the problem was there just was way too many cars on the track, and they wanted too many big, they didn't want any big names to miss it. I think now that we've had this 2 year, experiment at the Clash, uh, at the Coliseum, I think we keep it at the Coliseum because I like it being in downtown LA. I like that it gets to that audience. But I think we go back to having a restriction to how many people can make it. It's not just an open to everybody event. Let's make it go back to the poll winners of the previous season. Dan, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there should be a maximum amount, or at least some type of stipulation for you to get in. It shouldn't just be an open invitation to anybody and everybody out there. Um, I think about 20 cars would be about the maximum I'd really want to have out there, just because of how small the track is. I mean, if you're starting too wide, 10 rows deep, I mean, you're really not going to be able to go anywhere without shoving the person in front of you out of the way. And I think that's what really showed last night, in my opinion. I mean, it took 10 minutes to run like one single lap because we kept going caution every single time we tried to get a restart in. And I think it was just the fact that there was so many cars on the track, you couldn't move forward unless you moved them out of the way. So there's constantly somebody getting spun out. And I think it was too much. Like you said, I do like it being in the market. I do like that concept of it. I would prefer it be an actual like racetrack, not a purpose built track, if that makes sense. But I definitely like that it's in LA. They're getting that exposure to that market. But let's cut it back some, maybe 15, 20 cars or so. Like if there's poll winners, I'm okay with that. To me, that kind of goes back to the history of it anyways. So, but yeah, just too much. And please, for the love of God, if we're going to do 150 laps, count the caution laps. Please count the caution laps.
I don't think they expected to have this problem with not counting caution laps. I don't know why they kind of overlooked that, but I honestly think NASCAR was like, yeah, we can just do 150 laps, not count the cautions, and it'll be just fine. But
because there wasn't a lot of cautions last year in NASCAR's defense, and you've heard a lot of drivers talk about it, that the way that they raced this race last season versus this year was different because we're talking about part shortages and everything coming into last year. Some teams only had one car built. And NASCAR, I know we're talking about it being open, it's an open invitation. No. This is a mandatory event for all 36 charter teams to attend and try to make this race. There is no option for, Rick Ware or whoever to be like, I'm going to pass on this one, folks. I don't want to drive to LA and waste my time and money. They had to go. They had to go, and they had to run this race. And
but was it open to open cars as well, or no? Because I thought at one point
it was open to open cars, okay. But there were no open cars that attended. It was the 36 charter teams, and that tells you right there, like, why. If it was such a money making event or some grand spectacle, the open cars would have shown up. Well, they didn't.
Yeah,
they stayed home.
Ryan has a couple of good points, and then I'll go to you, Mike. Ryan said that he would love to see the 16 cars that made the playoffs the season prior in the Clash. I think that's a good idea, and also the maybe the caution laps count into the final 10 or 20, and then that way it just guarantees that we have a good green flag finish or what have you. But Mike, you had something to say on that point?
Well, so I agree with Dan on the count the caution laps, at least until you get close to the end. I find it funny that NASCAR pretty much made it an open style race, so no big names would be missing, and then the entire RFK team didn't make it. And then just a little bit of a stat on last night's race. We averaged a lap every 36 seconds, which is about the average lap time at Michigan International Speedway, which is a 2-mile track. Like, what? I guess how long that took is that cars running a 1/4 mile lap were taking as much time as it takes to run a 2-mile lap on average.
Yeah, it certainly was not. I mean, for for a quarter mile track should not have been taking that long. I mean, I want to say it was like, what was it, like 40 minutes after the halfway break, and we had only run like 10 laps.
Yeah,
something like
because
that.
like it
Something
was
like that.
green
It
flag
was-
checkered. Green flag
It was
checkered.
crazy. Nonetheless, you know, there were some good things about it. I thought, you know, obviously, one big name that I have to shout out besides the podium drivers was Ryan Preece. He proved that he knows how to drive the 41, which we kind of expected, especially at a short track like this, because Ryan Preece comes from that background. But just really cool to see Ryan Preece do something really good with the 41. He did really well in the class last year when he was driving for Rick Ware in the 15. So, I mean, I don't think anybody expected much less, but it was just really cool to be able to see that. Obviously, Martin Truex Jr., good job on him. I had to mention him again because he's my guy.
It's been a long
but
time. Justin has
It
actually
has.
Justin has been through currently 0 episodes of Running on Scuffs without celebrating a win by Martin Truex. So
I
listen,
know.
We
he's going to
need
be a bit full of it the next 2 weeks, fans. But I promise you this: when one Dennis Hamlin returns to victory lane, you know it'll all turn back to the way it's supposed to on this show.
Probably with the fourth Daytona 500 win.
That's right, everybody.
We need Ryan Preece in good equipment already. Like he's got the talent. He just can't get like top tier equipment to save his life.
Well, hopefully SHR is going to be that for him.
They're supposed to be
mean-
taking a step forward this year. I feel like
Yeah. But nonetheless, Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch were both able to get on the podium with a 2-3 finish. So really good for the RCR crew, especially Kyle Busch. He kind of showed out in his RCR debut, more or less. We'll see how they do at Daytona here in a couple weeks. But nonetheless, that was kind of our race review. If you guys want to see the full results, be sure to go to runninonscuffs.com. We've got full results posted for that. So with that being said, we're going to move on to another segment, which so it was advised to me throughout the offseason by multiple people that we change the name of our story segment because we have that was one I did not I did not get to. Ryan, was the Kyle Busch and Joey Logano rivalry heating back up. By the way, big shout out to our old producer Peyton Moore. Thank you for tuning in. We always appreciate everybody watching, and we hope everyone is doing well. So
Don't forget the Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin fire. It's still going, folks.
you know, I was surprised that Denny Hamlin didn't say anything more after the race immediately, or even really retaliate in the race.
Well, I don't really want to be the guy that shouts out other shows, but if I'm going to shout out any other podcast, it's going to be Actions Detrimental. So, Denny, I won't spoil it for anybody who listen after us, of course, but I will say he explains quite a bit why I think you don't why we don't see quite the anger we saw after the race in the show, because he got spun out twice during the race. You know, I mean, he got dumped by Chastain and then dumped by old video gamer Bill Byron. You know, so some people couldn't leave it in the past, I guess.
You know, I just want to point out to everybody that's on our show right now and everybody watching, this Running on Scuffs isn't even Zach's favorite show that debuted today.
Well, we're not actually debuting; we're just returning.
We're either way, we're still not your favorite.
You're my favorite host. Denny Hamlin doesn't host his podcast, so.
Well, that's you know what, I'll take it. I will take it. Nonetheless, I was advised throughout the offseason that I needed to change the name of one of our segments, especially our news story segment. If you don't remember, our news story segment used to be called Feel Goods. And we're still going to have Feel Goods as a part of a different segment, but it was brought to my attention that not every bit of story that we share was necessarily a feel good story. So instead of doing feel goods, we're going to get into our news segment, and we're going to be calling it Scuff Stories from now on. So we'll be hitting that. By the way, thank you to Peyton Moore. She may no longer be on our show full time, but she did still make these graphics for us, so we're appreciative to her for that. She always did a really good job on the graphics, and we appreciate her doing that for us. So thank you to her for that. But anyways, we've got a lot of off season news to go through, and we're going to try to go through the main stuff as much as we can, because it would be far too much to go through individually. But the number one story that I feel we have to talk about, obviously Kevin Harvick is retiring at the end of the 2023 season. He will be joining the Fox booth in 2024 with Clint Boyer and Mike Joy. That was announced last night during the Clash broadcast. So it'll be cool to see Kevin Harvick. He'll still be around the track at least for a good chunk of the season, but it sucks because Kevin Harvick is really kind of the last tie to the Dale era of NASCAR. So it was really cool. Kevin Harvick has not always been the most liked guy in parts of his career, but I think everybody has always respected Kevin Harvick and has always had a good, at least it's somewhat sad to see him go. Zach, I kind of see you nodding your head, though. What's your...
respecting Kevin Harvick, no. Listen, I have seen Kevin Harvick do countless bonehead, downright, inexplicably dumb decisions on the racetrack. There have been plenty of times I did not respect Kevin Harvick throughout his career. I will say that I respect his opinions on the sport in terms of this next-gen car and stuff. I respect that. But if you're going to tell me I need to respect the guy who, sat here and ran into Kyle Busch on pit road or whatever that one time, and also instigated that fight in 2014 at Texas between Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski, you're crazy.
Hey, Kevin Harvick will forever go down in history as a Scuffy Award winner for his rivalry with NASCAR last year. So, you know what, we'll take that. As a yeah, a little bit of a plug there. Okay, so most everybody respects Kevin Harvick, at least from an overall standpoint. Moving on, we have another big name. Jimmy Johnson is a part of what used to be Petty GMS, is now called Legacy Motor Club. You guys have probably seen that. Kind of getting the Petty name away from it, just so that they can become something greater. Bringing in Jimmy Johnson really adds a big piece to that team's puzzle. And I think it was the perfect time to do something like that. Dan, what do you think about Petty GMS going to Legacy Motor Club?
I mean, me and you and Zach and Mike, we've all had conversations about this in the past. I felt that it's kind of time to move away from the Petty name personally. Obviously, he's really not the main guy in charge over there. He hasn't been for quite a while. I think he does still bring notoriety, I guess you would say, from some of the older fans and stuff like that. But for the most part, he hasn't really been the man in charge. He hasn't really been making decisions. So I do feel like it's kind of time to move on from that name. Although their Facebook page still says Petty GMS, which kind of throws me off every time I see an update from them. So if they're watching, anybody, please have them fix their name. But I think Legacy Motor Club is a really cool name. I like how their logo is just a solid black with the gold letters. I'm excited to see Jimmy Johnson back in a car. I mean, I was never a huge Jimmy Johnson fan, but I do think that because he was really the first real big driver to win multiple races. As me being an active everyday fan, I think it's cool to see him kind of come back to his roots. Um, yeah, he's not going to run full time, but I think it's going to be cool and fun to see him. It's going to be odd to see him in the 84, but I'm excited and I'm ready to see it in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, we get to see him back for the Daytona 500. He will attempt to qualify for the Daytona 500 with Legacy Motor Club in the 84, sponsored by Carvana. And last night, he announced that he will also attempt to run the Chicago Street Race. That was another thing that Jimmy Johnson announced. He will be running multiple races with Legacy Motor Club. Not entirely sure how that'll be. Ryan Hill, another comment here. Really excited to see Johnson back. I am too. I'm excited to see what Jimmy Johnson does, being back in a car. He said when he ran the test session that it almost felt like he was home, even being in the next gen car, which I thought was really cool. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with that. Also attempting the Daytona 500, Travis Pastrana is going to attempt the Daytona 500 with 2311 Racing. So that's another name. He will be driving the number 67 Toyota for 2311, and that will be sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee. So that'll be his paint scheme. Actually, just got revealed earlier today. Chandler Smith is also going to attempt to run the Daytona 500. We've got a few of these. With Colleague Racing, he'll drive the number 13. So really cool for Chandler Smith to get the opportunity. He's running full-time Xfinity with Colleague. So he'll be running double duty for the 500, assuming he makes it into the field. Riley Herbst will run the Daytona 500. Notice I did not say attempt there because he will be running the 15 for Rick Ware Racing. That's a chartered car. So Riley Herbst will be in the Daytona 500. And Zach, I wanted to get your opinion on this simply because you and I have talked about this. Can you imagine a world where Riley Herbst makes the Daytona 500 and Jimmy Johnson and or Travis Pastrana does not?
Oh, folks. Longtime listeners of me, and back to Justin Knight's Dipstick Debate days, knows that I have a long-standing belief that Riley Herbst is not a talented race car driver. I still hold this belief to be true. I normally am not against the charter system. I understand why it's there and I support it. But for one of the few times, I really am very anti-charter system on this one. If Jimmy and Travis Pastrana, and even like Chandler Smith and Zane Smith, and guys like that, or Austin Hill, one of them's not going to make the race. But whichever one of those guys that doesn't make the race because we have a chartered Riley Herbst in the field is going to get my blood boiling. Go ahead and check out the Twitter feeds for that one, folks. That duel, I'm sure after the duels they'll be popping off because I will not be a happy customer.
Zach, I'm going to let you run the Runnin on Scuffs Twitter page for the duels.
Oh man, Justin,
that...
we might get shut down, and we might get some community guidelines. It's best that you run the Runnin on Scuffs Twitter, I run my personal Twitter, and you retweet the stuff that's run on Scuffs appropriate.
Fair enough.
If anybody would like to see the PG-13 and rated R content, then come on over.
Dan and Mike both approve that, so I guess we'll go with that.
Going over to @ZRBell98 on Twitter for the rated R content about Riley Herbst. R meaning really, really upset.
I'm in multiple group chats with Zach during the races. Trust me, there's stuff that's not appropriate.
Yeah, can confirm I am also in multiple group chats with that man, and yeah, especially if somebody does something to Denny Hamlin, then it really pops off.
Just imagine if Riley Herbst somehow accidentally takes out Denny Hamlin during the lead of the duel.
Oh, there's no accident that Riley Herbst is involved in his or lack of talent.
No. If Riley Herbst takes out Denny Hamlin, I may just shut my phone off so I don't have to hear it.
Listen, if you're Riley Herbst and you're listening to our show, please come on and defend yourself. There's an open spot here. Mike, Dan, anybody could be kicked off. It'd be a nice one-on-one conversation between the Herbstinator and I.
I'd be more than happy to just give you and Riley Herbst the show.
I'll never forget that Riley Herbst's family owns the Terrible's gas stations out in the West Coast and everything out west, and I couldn't think of a more fitting company name for his talent.
Lord have mercy. Moving on, we have a couple more Daytona 500s attempts. Zane Smith is going to attempt the 500 for Front Row Motorsports. That will be a third Front Row Motorsports car, so it will be an open car. And then Austin Hill will attempt with the 62 of Beard Motorsports. So right now we've got 5 open entries to the Daytona 500, which means at least one of them will be out. Mama Seeger says, "Tell us how you really feel, Zach."
Oh man, yeah, man. I won't take this personal podcast to get on the Riley Herbst, but to shout out something we were going to be doing the Saturday, the Scuff Saturday or whatever we're calling it. I'm sorry, Justin, I'm really bad.
Yeah, Scuff Saturdays.
Scuff Saturday. Whenever I get the open Zach turn and stuff, feel free to spam me with all the Riley Herbst questions you may have. That'll be our open. We'll have an episode dedicated to Riley Herbst, followed up by an episode dedicated to Ross Chastain.
Hey, I'll be back at home for the Scuff Saturday, so maybe I can get Mama Seeger to come in and just have a conversation with you about it.
Is Mama Seeger a Riley Herbst fan or like?
No, but I think she'd love to hear all about how you really feel about him.
Yeah, she'd do like a little interview session, like a little Q&A. It'd be great.
Yeah,
I would pay big money to have Mama Seeger on this show.
How much are you?
I'm about to say, I don't know whose pocket that money's coming out of, but it ain't mine.
Maybe Riley Herbst can pay for her to be on the show.
Yeah. Huh? Is she a Riley Herbst fan? Did I miss something?
No, I don't. She's not a Riley Herbst fan, but
nobody is.
I don't think
his mom might be. I don't know.
No,
actually, Cole Custer's driving for SHR. His mom's a Cole Custer fan. Hate to break it to you, she's an SHR fan. So it goes Harvick, Priest, Almirola, Briscoe, Custer, then Herbst on her SHR drivers list.
We're talking about Riley Herbst's mom, not my mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your mom strikes me as a Chase Briscoe fan of all the SHR drivers.
Yeah, she likes Briscoe. She likes Briscoe. I like Briscoe, I think. Nonetheless. Speaking, that's all the Daytona 500 entries we have. We know at least one of them will not make the 500. We're still waiting on potentially others to join that. Kyle Larson announced that in 2024, he will be attempting the Indy 500 Coke 600 double. This is the first driver to attempt that, I believe, since Kurt Busch did a few years back, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct on that, Justin.
I'm glad I was correct because I don't remember what year it was.
But folks, this is not the Indy Coke 600 double. This is forever and will forever be known on this podcast as the Andretti double. Put some respect.
You know what? I can respect it. It's the Andretti double. We'll go with that.
I can handle that.
Yeah, we can go with that. So he will attempt that in 2024. It will not be this year, so we still have another year to wait for that.
It was 2014. Kurt Busch ran it, by the way. So it'll be 10 years after.
That'll be 10 years. All right. We did have some Xfinity and Truck Silly Season news. The number 19 open car for the Xfinity Series continues to grow with more drivers being added. We have a full list of drivers for the full time. We have full-time entry lists for the Cup, NASCAR, Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series, all on runninonscuffs.com. And if you guys can't tell, I'm really plugging our website right now because it's just so awesome. Dan made me make full team charts.
I didn't make you. I just highly recommended it and pushed you towards it.
Yeah, it was heavily insisted upon. Nonetheless, they were fun to make. It took me about 8 hours to make each one, though, so that's why I'm really recommending everybody go check it out. 2023 NASCAR has a new rules package, and there are a few new rules that we have to focus on. Number one being the Ross Chastain, the Hell Melon. It's now being outlawed.
Finally.
Some people like it, some people don't like it. The Hell Melon is no longer going to be allowed in NASCAR. If a driver attempts a move similar to the Hell Melon by NASCAR's discretion, they will add a time penalty to it. Unpopular opinion here, although not for Zach. Zach's going to love this opinion. I like this move. I'm not upset that it happened in this Martinsville playoff race, but I don't want to see it in every Martinsville playoff race. Ryan Hill says, good move by NASCAR.
That's right, Ryan. That's why you're the best.
Again, I can respect it because you know what? This is how, in a lot of things in life, this is how we get new rules. Somebody has to break it. Somebody has to do something that they never even thought about and was like, shoot, maybe we should try that. Ross Chastain did something that I don't think anybody imagined he would do. But Mike, I know you were kind of doing a thumbs down there. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, if somebody has the cojones to try that, let them. Unless somebody gets hurt, you don't need to be making a rule that bans strategy, because that's all that was. That was just strategy to advance your position, and now you're making rules to ban it. I've been saying this for years. This is right up there with the double yellow line rule. It's stupid. Get rid of it. Its strategy works.
Matt Marr says, I think banning the move is the right decision. It was cool to see, but it can be dangerous and a lot can go wrong with it. I agree with that. And Matt, we look forward to having you on later this month on the show. So little foreshadowing there. I would agree. I appreciate that the move happened once. And that's right, Mama Seeger. Even Ross Chastain said he didn't want to do it again. So, that's fair. Ryan says, you got to prevent people from getting hurt.
Especially after last season.
Yeah.
How about they focus fixing the car before banning moves? How about that?
Well, that's true, but nonetheless.
I mean, when it happened, I was in support of the Ross Chastain move, but in hindsight, I really honestly understand where NASCAR's coming from and agree that, yeah, this isn't something we need to see every single time we go to Martinsville. But I definitely think it was great to see. I watched it live. It was unreal. I couldn't believe it. But looking back, it's like, yeah, no, that's not a good idea. Not on a regular basis. And so you got to police it somehow to prevent it from happening every time. And really, that's the only way to do it.
I do think it would have been interesting at a Martinsville race to see 4 or 5 playoff drivers try that on the last lap and then all be nose to tail and they all wreck. And then the one person who didn't try it's the one who ends up doing well with it. But nonetheless, I appreciate the move that happened this past year, but not moving forward. Another big change, we will no longer have staged cautions at road courses in the Cup Series. This is something personally that I've been pushing for at every track, but we can start at the road courses. There will still be stages. Points will still be awarded at certain laps for the road courses, but they will not have staged cautions. This is to help avoid a lot of drivers, pitting right before the stage breaks, and then it completely shaking up the strategy. for drivers. So this will be interesting for road courses. Again, that's something that I kind of advocate for all tracks, but we'll see how that goes. Zach, what are your thoughts on having no stage breaks for the road
I
course?
go a bit back and forth, to be honest. While I understand that maybe traditional road course strategy is back and you can now play for stage wins and the wins without having significantly the better car, it was interesting at times last year to think about who tried to play that card for a stage win and with the points format it is and a stage win is worth the playoff point. I actually think that you're actually diminishing strategy throughout the entire race by removing this because maybe mid-tier road course racers, no longer have the opportunity to get a stage win, and they'll just be in 15th all day. So while I understand that the majority of the fan base is here for it, and like I said, I mean it's no fun seeing the leader like every single top 10 car pit with 3 to go in a stage. It takes away the choice that the guy in 12th, the guy in 15th has to make, and I think that has some value, honestly.
That's a fair point. Nonetheless, we're going to see how it works this year. Maybe it's something NASCAR keeps for the future. Maybe it's something they expand upon. I'm not entirely sure, but there are other rules that were announced. For example, the choose cone rule will be at all tracks. The damaged vehicle policy will be at 7 minutes now instead of 6. Good rules there. I know there are others that I am missing, but for
How
time,
about just real quickly to brush over it and to
yes.
laugh at it, NASCAR removing the top 30 in points penalty. But
Oh yeah,
this is the core of the Joy rule, right? Like because the Joy probably could have won Atlanta.
hmm
This is just for him, basically, right? Like Cody Ware.
yeah. It's really for drivers like like LaJoy or
Spire
it's,
Motorsports and Rick Ware Racing. Congratulations.
honestly, I think it's more of a rule for like if we were to have like a Kyle Busch 2015 incident again, like where you don't have to necessarily be in the top 30 in point. That's the only time I've ever really seen that
Well,
rule.
the waiver it still says you have to like be like attempting all the races.
Unless you have a waiver.
Yeah. So the waiver would still come into play.
Yeah.
But really, like I said, I really think this like just boils down to like had LaJoy won Atlanta last year and not been in the top 30 in points, like it just takes the NASCAR's ability to have to explain it away.
The whole waiver thing corrected something I was about to say because I was going to say it'd be funny as hell to see Jimmy Johnson win the Daytona 500 and be playoff eligible run one race.
Yeah, I mean hindsight's 2020, but I wonder if he were to win the 500, if they'd immediately change his season plans. Be like, all right, Jimmy, one full season for us, okay?
They'll put him in 43 and take Eric Jones out.
No.
Hey, you know that NASCAR would love to see it. Like, hey, a chance to get Jimmy Johnson in the playoffs, they'd be all for it.
I'm just excited to see him and didn't he go into one of the booths next year as well?
No.
Oh.
I don't think he's announced what he's doing for 2024. He may still run a part-time with Legacy.
When he was talking about his last 2 seasons in the IndyCar, and he said that he didn't feel like he was on edge, like driving on the edge like he does in NASCAR. That kind of threw me because I'm like, I feel like if I was going to be more on the edge in the 2, it would definitely be IndyCar. You don't have a hood, like a roof over your head. Like those cars are a lot faster, especially Indianapolis for the 500. But I do think he's going to run part-time again next year. I don't think he'll ever come back full-time, but I think he will run another part-time schedule next season.
Matt had a comment about that. If he has the fun,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if he has the money, they'll. I mean, because honestly, if you look at it, Gallagher's sponsoring most of this season so far, from what it looks like, with Allegiant and even Sunseeker Resorts that was on the 42 this weekend.
Oh, I'm sure they can get Carvana to cough up the change to fund a full season Jimmy effort here.
Oh yeah.
He wants to run the Clash next year, according to Matt. That's a I don't see why not. I mean, if we're gonna have this craziness of a Clash anyway, might as well
I mean,
throw Jimmy Johnson in there.
and if it's gonna stay in LA, then like it makes even more sense being a California kid, try to get in on the Clash back at home.
Make a
I-
special Clash that's just legend drivers. Get Dale Jr., Bill Elliott,
Jeff
like
Gordon.
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, all do it.
They have that now, Mike. It's called the SRX.
Oh,
Ooh.
fair.
Um,
Ooh.
anyways, a little bit. One piece of sad news I have to announce. It was announced earlier today that Martha Jarrett, the wife of Ned Jarrett, has passed away. She passed away yesterday. They didn't say much except for she and Ned had been married for 67 years, and that they request the family requests privacy at this point. So that's all we'll comment on that. But just wanted to announce that. It also came out a little bit later today that Kyle Busch has had a bit of an incident in Mexico during the off season with a firearm. Just a bit of a misunderstanding from what I understand. Kyle Busch made a statement about it saying it was his mistake. Looks like ultimately, I think things are going to clear up there. It's just a little something that he had happen kind of on a vacation. He has all the permits to carry here. Just some things are a little bit different in other countries.
Yeah, I was a little curious about that because it says that he got sentenced to 3.5 years, but it doesn't say like when he's going to serve it or where or even how that's going to work. Like it was like $1,100 as far as US dollars, like fine, and then 3.5 years jail time. And I'm like, but where?
He's not serving that jail time. He's
No,
not
I mean,
serving that.
I don't
Like, ever.
expect him to, but it's just like it was like an odd situation.
I just thought of something funny. NASCAR goes back to Mexico City. He's completely forgot about this, and Mexican authorities show up and just pull him right out of the car.
Matt, thank you for clarifying that. He was detained in January, no jail time. So, that's what it seemed like to me. It seemed like it was a pretty simple, pretty simple thing. I think overall, a guy like Kyle Busch, obviously he's going to cooperate to the fullest extent he can, and I think they get that settled out. But anyways, let's talk about something that we may not get settled out. We've got a brand new segment that we're going to introduce to you guys right here, right now. We're getting ready for the 2023 season. We're getting ready to go points racing, and we have to give out some hot takes. But hot takes, that's too generic. That's not the way we do things around here. We gotta make it tie into the brand. We gotta do something fun. So with that being said, we're about to burn some rubber with our hot takes. So the way I had everybody do this, I had you guys come up with 10 hot takes, and we're going to go through them all about as quickly as we can. And we may look back on this episode, and some of these may be right, some of these may be totally crazy. Some of us may have the same ones in different places, but nonetheless, 10 hot takes that we have ranking from 10% all the way down to 100%. And Dan, I'm going to get you to start us off, starting with your coldest take out of the ones. Still going to be a little bit of a hot take, but we're going to go with your coldest take.
I actually already shared this on Twitter because Zach was asking for some the other day. I personally don't see Jimmy Johnson getting a single top 10 this season in any of the races he completes.
That's an interesting hot take.
You're no fun.
Zach, since that kind of ties into your tweet, why don't you give us your coldest take here?
First of all, none of these takes will be in my Twitter feed.
Here.
Secondly, I apologize for missing this weekend. I was on a retreat. But I will say this. My first one is very, very mild, but this year we will have a first-time Cup Series champion.
A first time.
Ooh. There's a lot of previous champs.
Mike, what say you? What's your first hot take for 2023?
Mine's really simple. Kevin Harvick's going to return to victory lane and wins at least 3 races.
Interesting take. My coldest take for this is, and I think after watching the Clash, I'm even more supported in this. RFK goes winless in 2023. Super speedways and maybe road courses for yeah, I agree with you, Matt. That's not even a hot take. Like, I think after I typed this up before the Clash happened, and then after the Clash I was like, gosh, that's not even like it's not even a hot take, but I'll keep it there. And I'll go ahead and start us off for our 20%. So these are going to dial up the heat just a little bit. And I'm going to say I don't think it's an incredibly hot take that Ryan Preece wins a race. But the way I did this was I have a specific race that Ryan Preece is going to win this year. And I believe that Ryan Preece wins at Nashville later this season.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
So Dan, why don't you get us started for your next hot take?
I'm actually going to go that Tyler Reddick is going to make it to the championship 4.
Tyler Reddick in the championship 4. Zach, what say you?
All right, mine. I feel this is a little bit hotter because this is kind of a very broad take, but Ford will not make the championship 4 in both the Cup and Xfinity Series.
Whoa, that's low on the list, man. That's huge.
I mean, I could see Xfinity because they don't really have anybody but Cup.
Are you kidding me? Cole Custer's not going to make the final.
Oh shoot! I forgot about Cole Custer
Series?
going to Xfinity. My bad.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take in my opinion.
He thinks last year's champion Joey Logano's not making it to the final 4.
I do.
See it's not an even numbered year. He's got to try. We got to wait till next year. It's not an even numbered year. It's not Logano's time. Sorry, Ryan.
Nonetheless, all right, Mike. What's your next one here?
Going off of same for the last one, and that's kind of how my first 4 are. MTJ is going to win at least 4 races.
Hey, I like that take. We're going to go with that. I like that. Mike is my new favorite Scuff right now. You guys need to start, and because of that,
just wait. There's more.
And because of that, Mike, you get to lead us off for our 30%ers. You get to go again because I'm so proud of you.
With the 30%ers, I've got Ross Chastain winning at least 4 races.
Hey, I like that too. He's my second favorite driver. I like that. You know what? We're going to go backwards, and I'm going to go to Zach just because I want to hear his take on this.
My 30%er stands in direct opposition to some of Mike's takes. Kevin Harvick goes winless in his final season.
Oh, no way.
Yes way.
Not a chance.
Absolutely a chance.
The closer's going to win 1. Come on, man.
The closer is going out on a dead, like a silent, but definitely not deadly fart. He's in a straight through the wind.
Hey, I just want to point out, Matt, that in 2021, Truex had 4 wins and he made the championship 4. But I digress. Dan, what say you? What's your next hot take? Your 30%er here.
Ty Gibbs is not going to make the playoffs, but does win a race after the start of the playoffs.
I could see that.
Interesting. For my 30%er, I said that Richmond will not have 2 race dates in 2024. And the reason I put that for Richmond. The reason I put that for this year is because we usually get the schedule update coming out sometime during the season. So that's a hot take. Richmond will not have 2 race dates in 2024. Zach, why don't you haven't kicked us off for one yet. Why don't you get us started with your next one?
Yeah, this one also direct opposition to Mike. Martin Truex Jr. continues his winless points-paying races streak. all the way through the entire season. Justin
I
has a
just,
long.
after last night, I just don't know if I think that momentum he's going to get at least one. But
I wrote this before the clash. I really don't care. I stand by my takes. I don't care what I could have wrote them right after Phoenix ended last year. I didn't, but I could have, and I stand by my takes.
fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Mike, since Zach's in complete defiance of you, what's your next take?
Austin Dillon is going to win 2 races.
I could see that with the way the clash goes. Austin Dillon always seems to be one that Mama Seeger backs me up. Truex is going to win multiple races. You know what?
I like Mama Seeger
certainly
right
hope so.
about now.
Yeah, that's. But you know, I could see that with Austin Dillon. He always seems to be one who's at least in contention for a couple wins. So, Dan, what say you? You've got a 40%er to give to us.
SHR wins no more than 2 races.
Wow. And Ryan Preece is going to win one of them in Nashville. That's
I could see it. I could see it. Who's going to get the other one?
My 40%er actually is in relation to the Daytona 500 in a couple weeks. Right now we have enough open entries where we know at least one driver will miss the field. And my hot take is that driver is Travis Pastrana. I'm going to say that he misses the Daytona 500, even in a 2311 car. Mike, we're going to go to you for a 50%er here. We're getting close to halfway through our hot takes, and they're only going to get hotter as we go along.
Can we actually go last for me this round and first next round? Because my next 2 tie together.
Sure. We'll go with that. You know what? I'll get us started with a 50%er because this one is actually one that people have already said. Matt says I don't think that's a hot take. Matt's just getting all over. He doesn't like my takes apparently. I tried to be somewhat mild because I wanted to be right on a few of them, but they get a little bit hotter as they go on. So. This one's already been said by Zach. I put mine a little higher on the list. I think for my 50%er, I also think Kevin Harvick goes winless in his final season. I hate it because I want him to win, but I don't see it. I think he had a down year last year, and I think it's going to continue. So Dan, we'll go to you for your 50%er here.
That is why I mentioned the Stewart Haas only getting 2 wins. I do believe Preece and Briscoe will get those 2 personally. My 50%er is that sorry, I just drew a blank there for a second. Hendrick Motorsports will get no more than 6 wins all season.
Oh,
Zach, pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Zach, what say you for your 50%er here?
This one, once again, in opposition to Dan, and I think this one's going to be in opposition to a lot of viewers and NASCAR people. RCR goes winless in 2023. Neither Kyle Busch nor Austin Dillon win a race. They will, however, dominate the USA TV network with, I'm sure, another Austin Dillon Life in the Fast Lane featuring Rowdy Energy all over it.
Interesting. Well, Mike, you've got 2 that tie together, so give us your 50% and 60% here.
Well, it's actually kind of funny that Zach had that at his 50% because I have RCR having 2 cars in the round of 8. And wow. I have, for my 60%er, Kyle Busch wins at the Roval, advancing to the round of 8.
Kyle Busch
he would have been eliminated, and it wins winning you're in, and he wins it.
Oh, so he's going to clutch up like Bell?
Yep.
Okay. That's interesting for Kyle Busch at the Roval because he never has I don't think Kyle Busch has ever been horrible at the Roval, but he hasn't been man. That is true.
He has been horrible at the Roval. He literally quit a race at the Roval.
That is true. He did do that.
He has been horrible.
Get your facts straight.
That was Joe Gibbs Racing, Kyle. RCR Kyle's different.
All right. My 60%er is actually an inverse of one of my takes in a way. 4 Fords will make the championship 4 in the Truck Series. I'm calling it now. It's all Thor Sport and Front Row Motorsports.
So Zane Smith and all of the Thor Sport except for Haley Deegan.
Or Matt Crafton.
She's at Tricon, isn't she? Oh, no.
No,
she's
she's
Ford,
a
that's
Thor
right.
Sport. Yeah.
Sorry,
All right. Well, my Dan, you can go ahead and give us your 60% because my next two kind of tie into each other like Mike's did.
My 60%er
Yes.
is that Riley Herbst does not make the round of 8 in Xfinity.
Yeah.
yeah, Zach's a fan of that one.
Zach's freezing cold take. Riley Herbst doesn't make the playoffs at all. Watch out for Big Machine and Parker Kligerman this year, everybody.
Yes.
So for my 60%er, this is one that I have seen a lot of people. I've seen this goes against a lot of people I've seen on social media, and I'll be honest, I don't see it. I think Alex Bowman misses the playoffs in 2023.
Does he get fired by Rick Hendrick too, or?
And no, I don't have that as a hot take. But my number 7, my 70% hot take is that Hendrick Motorsports has no drivers in the championship 4. This
Homer, Truckhouse Homer. He's playing to the audience here, folks. He's playing to the OG viewers. We get it. We get it. You all showed yourselves through the Scuffy Awards. Don't think I don't forget. Denny Hamlin and I on Elephant Brain mode here. Always remember.
So that's my 70%. A couple of Hendrick hitters there. Zach, what's your 70%?
Actually, mine is moderately tied to Hendrick Motorsports. All 4 JRM cars make the championship 4 in the Xfinity Series.
All 4, even Sam Mayer.
Yes.
Wow.
He wins his way in.
Interesting.
And Justin Allgaier still doesn't win the championship. It's not a part of the take, but we all know that's what's going to happen. So don't worry about it.
Poor Justin Allgaier.
He couldn't win it if he was the only one in it. I love Justin Allgaier, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, poor Allgaier. Mike, what's your 70%er here?
Well, Justin, great minds think alike because at 70%, I also had Hendrick has no cars in the Final 4. I have my Final 4 being Harvick, Truex, Chastain, and Kyle Busch.
Mama Seeker had a comment there, said, no, Zach, he's not a fan of Hendrick. No, yeah. But, all right, Dan, what's your 70%er?
That Chevrolet does not win a race in the Truck Series.
You know, the only thing that makes me sad about that is I really like Grant Enfinger, and I think if anyone were to do it in the Truck Series, I think it would be him. But sadly, I could see that. All right. So I will go ahead for my 80% simply because it relates to what a lot of people have either for or against. I think Kyle Busch wins 4+ races with RCR in 2023. I think Kyle Busch. I think he's got a renewed, kind of sense of life, and I think he's a lot happier with RCR. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I think Kyle Busch, he lays the gauntlet down. So, Zach, you had a comment on that. What was your?
Y'all are really drinking it. Like, listen, I understand these are hot takes, but I have a hard time believing you guys actually believe some of these hot takes. Like, you guys must have been like deliriously up at like 3 a.m. like reading through the schedule. Like, if everybody wrecks in this race, then Kyle Busch can win. Come on. Dan, don't shake your head. You're the one that's making the reasonable ones. I'm actually buying what Dan's selling most of the way.
Dan, what's your next hot take?
That JGR does not finish ahead of 2311 in owners points.
Both cars or one car?
As far as like their highest car.
Okay.
I think the 45 will be the top Toyota and owners points.
I can actually see
That's
that.
it.
I
That's it.
respect it.
All right, Mike, what's your 80%er?
And this one's just for you, buddy. MTJ wins the title.
Brown
I-
noser.
I'm telling you, you
Wow.
know what? Mike is going to get my my vote for Scuff of the Year. I can already tell you. I can already tell you it's going to be amazing. Mike, you and I are going to be great friends.
I think we will, buddy.
You know what? I love it. I love it. As far as I'm concerned, Mike has a full-time ticket on the show for as long as he wants it. Nonetheless, who all do we? Yeah, I agree, Mama Seeger. Mike's gonna be Dan. You got to do better. You gotta do a little bit better with Mama Seeger. It's a sad face. All right, who are we missing an 80%er from? I've lost
Me.
track.
Me.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
dang
that
it.
guy.
Dang it. We have to skip over Zach.
So this is based on a bit of history, and sad history involved. But if we circle ourselves back to 2019, all right, pre-COVID, pre-everything, J.D. Gibbs had passed away. Now, few of you may remember this, but in that season, Joe Gibbs Racing sent 3 cars to the championship 4, won 19 races, and set the NASCAR record for most wins in a single season. Coming off the passing of Coy Gibbs at the end of last season, tragic passing at the end of last season, Toyota, Joe Gibbs Racing, 2311 combined, don't go out and set the record, but they win 15 of 36 races this year, the most of any manufacturer.
Talking about being up at 3 a.m. writing delirious stuff. Okay.
Well,
What's delirious about it?
I can't
You're saying
say
they're going to win nearly half the races with what, 6 cars?
Yeah.
No.
You do realize if Truex wins 4, they're already a quarter of the way there.
Yeah, and that's about it.
I'm going to be.
Okay.
And Kyle Busch winning one. So
I'm going to be honest.
and he's not even in a Toyota anymore.
I'm going to start us out for the 90%er because Zach, as much as I hate to say it, I actually somewhat agree with you, and I've gone a little bit more detailed. I don't know about Toyota as a whole, but for the same reason, because of Coy Gibbs passing, I said that Martin Truex Jr. leads a JGR dominated season in which Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole wins 12 plus. I think Christopher Bell is in place to dominate. I don't think Denny Hamlin is going to back off as far as his performance goes, and I think Ty Gibbs can get 1 or 2, and I think Truex rebounds. So yeah, I actually am of the same thought process there, Zach.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously if Bubba and Tyler Reddick can do well, they can join in on that. Dan, what say you for your 90% here? That we're getting really hot here.
There's only going to be 7 different owners to win a race, and that includes Colleague winning 3 road course races with AJ Allmendinger.
Wow.
The dinger.
AJ Allmendinger's winning a race is definitely at least one is definitely one that I could see, but winning 3, that's a pretty hot take. Zach, what say you? Or no, sorry, I'll go to Mike for his 90%.
Piggybacking off of what Dan said earlier, 2311 has a car in the round of 8.
I hope we're talking about Tyler Reddick here.
Oh, we absolutely are. Do they have a second car?
Hey,
Stop it! Hold on. That second car, and that second driver have won 2 races the last 2 seasons.
That's good for him. He also tried.
That's
to
almost
punch
as many
somebody,
as Kyle. Your golden boy Kyle Busch. Woo-hoo.
Oh, come on, golden boy! I have him winning a race and getting into the round of 8. Come on.
I will say this for just a little bit more of a plug. Zach, you and I can vouch for this. You and I actually did an article for Runnin on Scuffs as to who was more likely to win a championship, Bubba Wallace this year or William Byron next year. So be sure to go to runonscuffs.com to check that out.
23 and 23, baby.
So with that being said, Zach, give us your 90%, and we're almost to the top of your hottest takes here.
Yeah, and I'll go last in the last round for sure. But
Okay.
AJ Allmendinger makes the round of 8.
AJ Allmendinger makes the round of 8. Honestly, I don't know if I see him getting through the round of 16, but
I do.
if he does,
he's going to walk off at the Roval.
Yeah,
win the rope. He could win Talladega.
He is good at the restrictor plates. And he's always loved Atlanta.
I like Allmendinger, so I mean,
the picture is a lot more clearer once you put some thought into it. It sounds shocking, but when you think about the playoffs, the round of 16, you're right, is a struggle, but for him in some ways. But he's been pretty good at Bristol and the short tracks, and it's really about what can you do in the regular season in terms of winning races at road courses, super speedways, The colleagues are a very aggressive team. They're trophy hunting. They say it all the time, and I think AJ perfectly fits that mantra. So, and I gushed about AJ on the season last year on this podcast about how great of a move it was, and I stand by that thought.
Dan, what say you for your final? Do you have a final hot take?
This is for the hottest one of all, right?
The hottest one you got. What's your hot take here?
Ford will get 2 Cup Series victories this season. One with Ryan Blaney, one with Joey Logano. That's it.
Wow.
2 wins.
Heck, I got Harvick alone getting 3.
Well, Mike, what's your hottest take?
Oh boy, here we go. Denny Hamlin goes winless.
You are on crack. Are you kidding me? What?
Denny Hamlin has a regressive season in 2023 and does not win a race.
I'll be on this podcast right after Daytona 500. Meet me at the mics. I'm telling you now.
I'll be here, buddy, and
lock
I'll be
it in.
Oh, yeah, great finish by Denny Hamlin, wrecking out on lap 13. Great job.
He's got Truex winning the championship and Denny Hamlin going winless. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, all right. Zach, you said you wanted to go last for this hottest take, and I kind of want you to. So, so Zach, you actually know this. How long did it take him to win last year? For him, was it the 600? Was that his first win?
Who? No, he won at Richmond in the spring, and then he won this.
Okay,
Hamlin won at Richmond in the spring, won the 600. He didn't win again last year, but technically he crossed the finish line first at Pocono. But NASCAR doesn't measure races by who crosses the finish line first. They measure it by politics.
Did you see they changed the front end this year for that?
Yeah, they did.
Oh. Anyways, before we get to Zach's hottest take, I'll give you mine. I'm going to go against all stats here. I know what statistics say. I know what everything would point to. It's the playoffs are not made for this. But my hottest take is that Joey Logano goes back-to-back and wins the championship in 2023.
We're just after Ryan's heart. You and Mike have the brownest noses I have ever seen. And I have a dog that has a brown nose.
Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get somewhere in this world. So,
yeah, that's fine.
Anyways, Zach, what's your hottest take?
I'm coming for the fans. The fans. This one is at all of you, the listeners. Your precious Justin Marks, Pitbull, Ross Chastain, and Daniel Suarez. 0 wins. Don't make the playoffs.
Oh, buddy.
All of them. I'm calling it now. Ross Chastain's 2 wins last year were a fluke. He was relatively inconsistent outside of that. And I think that his melon head syndrome is going to get to him this year. He's going to race above his abilities, and this year the price is coming back.
I don't entirely disagree.
And I mean, Daniel Suarez dominated Sonoma, but I'll tell you what, Raise your hand if you've seen Daniel Suarez dominate a NASCAR race outside of that race at Sonoma. Not. I'm willing to call that a fluke too. Actually, this is no hindrance on their team as a whole, but see you in 2024, Ross.
I have to call you out simply because I just have to, Zach. You said that Ross Chastain wasn't very consistent outside of his 2 wins. He had the most top 5s and top 10s of anyone in the Cup Series last year. So
yeah, he still was, but he still was inconsistent when it mattered the most. Justin,
he made it to the top 4. By
running into a wall, like.
But he was still consistently made it into the top 4 though. Like he was consistent enough to make it there.
This man went MIA like most of the second half of the season.
I mean, I agree with you on the whole Ross Chastain not getting a win this year at Daniel Suarez. I could see that happening. But you can't say that Ross Chastain wasn't consistent enough last season.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've got the DAF stats right in front of me on that.
And I've got the eye test in front of me. I'm telling you.
Well, let's just put it this way. Last year, out of all the drivers throughout the season, Ross Chastain had the second highest average finish, and Denny Hamlin is, 11th?
This isn't about Denny Hamlin versus Ross Chastain. I didn't make Denny Hamlin was nowhere. Denny Hamlin rarely appeared in my predictions outside of one Toyota in 2311. They were noticeably absent from my predictions.
So you're saying Ross Chastain is going to go from the second highest average finish to winning nothing?
Yes.
No, that ain't happening.
And Martin Truex Jr., the guy who won 4 races, is winning none. Like, he literally bullied through people in a corner at Coda, and all he had to do was hold the wheel straight at Talladega. He did the one thing Eric Jones couldn't do, and stay straight. Hold the wheel straight.
Well, this has been a very interesting hot take segment. It's going to get a little bit heated. Some people thought that they were hot. Matt, clearly throughout the comments, he didn't think mine were that hot. But you know what? That's okay.
Here's the thing. Some of us came out swinging from the start, and some of us decided to build heat slowly all the way through.
I thought Joey Logano going back-to-back, I thought that was a pretty hot take with the way the playoff format works. But
I think it's a hot take just to go against the trends of Logano in odd-numbered years. But
I know. Nonetheless, we'll see how many of these we get right, how many of these we get wrong. It'll be interesting to we'll definitely go back to these at the end of the season, and we may even do like throughout the halfway point of the season and see how many of them are still in play and how many are not.
I'm going to be tracking all of mine throughout the season.
I don't have to track mine because I know they're facts. Listen,
okay.
I mean, I know 2 of mine contradict each other, but
so
you got to have a hot take.
Hey, if they contradict each other, then I mean, surely one of them should be right? Like,
we'll see.
With that being said, we're gonna wind down our show here. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Runnin on Scuffs. We're glad to be back. We're glad to be back in the studio. We can't wait for more episodes just like this. We're going to be here with you all season, and this is going to be a heck of a ride. We're ready for 2023 to get underway. As always, be sure, like I've said multiple times, be sure to check out our website. It's down below, www.runninonscuffs.com. We've got some articles on there. We've got stats and we've got news, but we also have some opinion articles. I've written one. Zach's written a great one about his experience with the Andretti family. Dan's written one breaking down all the seasons, all the teams for this season. So some really good stuff there. Be sure to check out our Twitter and our Instagram. And if you check out our Twitter, I will try to give live updates on everything, unless we have Caution Fest like we did at the Clash. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, especially if you're on YouTube, but also if you're on Facebook. We stream live every Monday night on both of those platforms. So be sure to 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 Central. And we appreciate everybody being here. Next week, we have a special guest. We have Matt Nicholson from the Championship Radio Network. You guys may have seen where I interviewed his co-host Steve West on the as a special interview. So we'll be really glad to have Matt with us, and we can't wait to get back to it. Let's get our closing remarks. Mike, why don't you give us your final statements, buddy?
Denny Hamlin goes winless. Raise hail, praise Dale.
That's about as simple as you can get. I don't know if I want to go to Zach next. So Dan, we'll go to you. We'll go to you next for your closing remarks.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me on this season. I look forward to a couple heated debates with the man underneath me down there. But I do apologize, I'm a little under the weather at the moment. I don't know if I'll be here next week, but I'll do my best. And I can't wait to get racing this season, guys.
Yeah, it's been there's been a little bit of crud going around for it seems like everybody just about. So nonetheless, Zach, why don't you hit us with a signature sign off, buddy?
Before I have my signature sign off, I'd like to address all the listeners, viewers, everything. Please come at me in the comments section. Please come at me on my social media. You literally know where to find me. I promise you do. At ZRBell98 on all of your favorite socials. You can even come at me on the TikTok, and I'll make response videos. How about that? And of course, I want to thank my parents for their unwavering support. I want to shout out my dad specifically. For Christmas, he hooked up a lot of the wonderful setup that you guys don't see, but I promise makes me look a lot better. So I want to shout him out for that, of course, and both my parents for supporting my racing addiction all the time, all day, every day, listening to me, watching it with me. It's trying to calm me down sometimes. But yeah, and of course, thanks to you guys for listening and watching and coming back for us for another season. I know all four of us really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We appreciate everybody who has supported us throughout this off season and throughout getting everything started. We can't wait for this season. And we will see everybody next week here on Runnin on Scuffs. Have a good night, everybody.